Hey friend, thanks for coming. I thought it would be a good idea to chat about some cheap and free date ideas for you and your spouse or significant other. I don't know about you, but I am always looking for something free or cheap to do with my husband. If this is your first time, welcome. My name's Jen. I'm married to Alex and we have 4 kids. They are 3, 5, 11, and almost 14. And I like to talk about contentment and what that means when we live in a world that is full of comparison and competition. And you might wonder, what does it have to do with date ideas? We'll get to that in a few minutes. All right, so when I'm thinking about free or cheap, I was kind of trying to hit between like zero, obviously for free, and about $10 to $15, just kind of keeping it like if you have to pay for childcare, just kind of keeping it real low. First, I think I should tell you kind of what brought this about. We live in a society where relationships are not valued, marriages are not valued. Divorce is at a crazy high. And when we are connecting with our spouses, there's kind of a little ratio. And what I've heard is you should spend 1 hour a day, 1 night a week, 1 weekend a month, and then 1 full week out of each year you should spend together with you and your spouse. For us, that weekend and that week is really hard to do, but I find that if we focus in on 1 night a week and an hour, maybe it's not an hour, but 20, 30, 45 minutes every day connecting together, that has been huge for our relationship and just how we're doing in our marriage. So if I keep looking down, I have notes. So these date nights are based on that 1 night a week. Now, if you have small children or children at all, childcare adds up, and finding something to do on top of paying for childcare it just gets to be too much. So I just wanted to kind of give some free and cheap ideas that might help you with your relationship with your spouse. All right, so let's go into the idea. So you could have a backyard bonfire. If you have a fire pit, just go build a fire pit or just go build a fire in your backyard and sit and hang out and chat by the fire. It's a little romantic. It can be cozy, especially in the fall. I'm really looking forward to bonfires with my husband coming up this fall. You can go for a walk in your neighborhood. This is something that my husband and I do often. We will just go and walk around and just chat. You get some exercise, you get the quality time, and you get some conversation in. You could go for a hike. We have local parks close by. We have state parks that are about 45-minute drive. So we like to hike. We also enjoy kayaking. If you have your own kayaks, that of course makes it free. If you don't, I find that lots of people have them and don't use them. So maybe you could borrow someone's kayaks, or even at our local state park, there's a marina where you can rent kayaks. That might be a little above the 15. I think they're 15 a piece. But if you get there and you decide you don't want to spend the 15 a piece, you can always just go for a hike. Again, exercise, conversation, and we find that being out in nature is just nourishing to our souls as well. You could play a game together. My husband and I enjoy like a quick card game or a little bit of strategy. That's fun. Trying to think of some games. There's a dice game called Quicks that we enjoy because it's fun, but it's not super, like you don't have to think about it all the time. So you can just roll the dice and still talk and have a conversation. You could do a husband and wife book club. So my husband and I both like to read, but we find that we don't often read the same things. He likes to read just a different genre than I do. So maybe pick a book that you both would enjoy, or maybe even that would be stretching for one of you and switch off. So some ideas would, of course, be like a book on marriage. You could pick something that maybe you're struggling with or going through. I'm thinking like a finance book if you need help with budgeting or things like that. You could pick a hobby, maybe something that he's really into or something you're really into, and you kind of just want to introduce the other one to that hobby. And my husband loves World War II. It's not really a hobby, but something that he's interested in. That's not something I often read about, but he would love it if I said, hey, let's read this book together and chat about it if it was on World War II. So it could be a hobby, like I said. It could be even something new. Maybe neither one of you have ever painted, or I don't know. There's so many things out there. And maybe it's something that you're both interested in. You could pick a book on that and just explore that together. You could even pick just a book straight out of the Bible. Read the book of James together or the book of John and discuss that and how God is working in your life through that. All right, so another option would be for a cheap or free date idea would be just to go get a treat. It doesn't always have to be a big meal together. You don't always have to go to the local steakhouse and get a steak and salad and dessert. You could just go get a little treat. We like to go get ice cream, especially in the summer, or coffee. Or there is in a couple towns over, there's this cute little shop that has like specialty sodas. So we like to go there and grab a specialty soda. It's only a few dollars for us to get a treat, and we're not paying for a whole full-blown meal. You could go for a drive. My husband and I just did this last night, actually. It wasn't intended to be a date, but we hadn't seen each other all day, and our little kids were a little on the crabby side, and I thought it is going to take forever to get them down, and by the time I have some time to talk to my husband, I'm going to be crabby. So we loaded the kids up in their car seats, and we drove around for an hour. We chatted, and it was great just to connect. Both the kids fell asleep, and we put them in their beds when we got home, and it was fantastic. And I was right. I was a little crabby when we got home because I was a little tired. So the drive is something you could even combine with the treat, right? Maybe after the kids fall asleep, go grab some ice cream and have a little treat with your significant other. My husband mentioned mini golf. That's not really my jam. I don't love it, but sometimes I do things because I love him. So I looked in our area. I think it's $5 to play a round of mini golf. So that's not terrible for a little date night. You could go to a drive-in movie. Often the drive-in movies around here have like carload nights, or it's not as much to get into like a movie theater. So you can either just pay for the carload, or you could go on. Sometimes they have reduced nights. Sometimes they have like retro nights where they show old movies. So that could be a really fun date experience for you. You could go fishing, especially if you have all that fishing gear stored in the shed or the garage. You could pull that out and just go sit on the bank of a stream or a river or a lake and chat and fish, and maybe even catch your dinner. Who knows? So I think, I have one more. We have a university close by, and we enjoy going to university events. So we've actually been to the opera there, and we go to sporting events and theater events, and sometimes they'll have concerts even from like local bands, not even necessarily college bands. Sometimes they'll have concerts on large scales, and because it's at a university, the tickets are not always as expensive. So it's a great, you kind of get out, feel a little sophisticated maybe with the arts and just have a good experience, as well as supporting those college students, which I think is great. So those are my ideas, and I told you we chat a little bit about babysitters and ideas for doing something with those little kids. But first, if you have any ideas for a cheap or free date night, I would love it if you would add it in the comments below and let us know your favorite date night idea. All right, so sitters. Oh my goodness, it's so expensive and it keeps getting more expensive, and it should be. You want to compensate the people who are taking care of your children. But I just want to give you some ideas that are maybe a little bit more creative. So especially when you are just hanging around the house, I mentioned some ideas that could be done in your home, in your bedroom, in just a separate room that your kids are in. So depending on the ages of your kids, you could put them down early, put them to bed early, and then after they go to sleep, have a little time together with your spouse. You could put them in front of a movie, save up that screen time and use a movie as a babysitter. I'm not opposed to it, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes the movie's the best babysitter. You could trade off with another family or another couple. I've seen things where they use beans like per kid and per hour. I don't know. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And just trade off. You guys watch our kids this week, we'll watch your kids next week. You guys watch our kids on Tuesday, we'll watch yours on Wednesday. Just trade off and help out your friends and help out your marriage all in the same time. All right. So we've talked about date night ideas. We've talked about how to be a little bit creative with a sitter. Let's chat a little bit about what this means to be content. I think sometimes, a lot for me especially, I see other people and I see the dates that they go on and I see the vacations that they take together just themselves, and I see the fancy dinners that they go out to, and I think, oh, I wish I could go on a date like that. Well, what I really want is to just spend time with my husband. And if I think to the root of that, the root of my desire is to be with Alex, then it doesn't matter if we're on a cruise, or if we're in some tropical location, or if we are in a fancy steakhouse having a gourmet meal. Really, I just want to be with Alex. And so I can be content to spend that time with him going on a walk. I can be content spending that time with him going and sitting at a bonfire outside our home. It doesn't have to be a big, grandiose thing to spend time with your spouse. So, and really, it doesn't even have to be dinner and a movie. That was always our dates, right? Dinner and a movie, dinner and a movie. Maybe a bonus idea is have dinner and a movie. Put the kids to bed early and order takeout and watch a movie at your house. Dinner and a movie right at home. So it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It just has to be you two spending time together and connecting and being intentional in your relationship. Well, those were my ideas and my thoughts on contentment and dating, and I really hope that you get some good information out of that. If you liked this video, please give me a like, little thumbs up, all the things. I would appreciate that a ton. And if you would, subscribe to my channel. I'm brand new, but I'm making videos on motherhood and homemaking and marriage just like this. Please remember that no matter what your date looks like, no matter what your marriage looks like, no matter what season you are in right now, whether you're on a cruise, in a tropical location, having dinner and a movie, or a bonfire in your backyard, you are okay where you are and who you are. You are okay just the way you are. I'll see you soon.